next up, moving on with our agenda. So let me open up the agenda. We have Suzanne Kagan, previously VP Marketing at Anyword. Suzanne, are you here? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hey.
Can you hear me?
Yes, lovely to see you.
Lovely to be here.
I just wanted to say, as housekeeping, I'm going to get out of your way. Looking forward to hearing your words of wisdom, and then I'll join you again for the Q&A.
Sure. Sounds wonderful. So I'm just going to give a quick little intro about me as well. So I'm Suzanne Kagan. I'm a senior marketing leader, and I've worked for over a decade leading and building marketing teams for a number of startups, specifically PLG-focused B2B organizations. And I'm happy to talk to you today, especially about what we were doing at Anyword. So I want to first start with a couple of different approaches that I think are relevant for most organizations. So one of them that really helped us in terms of getting target customer insights was self-reported attribution. So I know this is something that a lot of organizations are implementing, and the question is like, why are they implementing this and how are they implementing this? And so we did it in a few different ways, and two ways that I wanted to highlight today was through our product onboarding questionnaire. So Anyword itself was a PLG company. It has the self-serve plans, also business and enterprise solutions as well. It has a free trial, and within that free trial, when users sign up, which is how we got a lot of our users to come in through our inbound, there will be a product onboarding questionnaire. So these are invaluable, and they provide a lot of resources for marketing in the future, just because you can do segmentation, you can understand exactly why these users came to your platform, what value they were looking for, what pain points. Also, do they fit your demographic? Are they actually the ICP that you're looking for your different solutions? But one of those questions, of course, was how did you hear about Anyword? So for that, we always include this question in so that we could essentially validate a lot of the marketing activities that were dark. So that way you're not just relying on software attribution and over-reporting from ad platforms. So for us, it was really important to really understand which of our brand activities were effective. And so one of the things that we also found out was, obviously, that was a good way for us to see if users were hearing about us through referrals, if they were hearing about us through different communities. But from the product onboarding questionnaire, we actually were able to find out that some of our platforms have been underreporting. So the one in particular that we found that underreported was YouTube. And users were actually coming into our platform having seen YouTube ads, which wasn't exactly reporting effectively because that was one of the touch points that we had along a lot of other touch points that they were exposed to, but that was the one that was most memorable for them and that they remembered. So that was helpful for us because we actually increased ad spend on YouTube from that. Now, the other area of self-reported attribution was actually having our SDRs and having our AAs, when they joined demo calls, to start out by asking, how did you hear about us? And that most of those who came in were interested in our business and enterprise solution. And we found out that they mostly came from referrals. But what we were able to find out was the specific Slack channels. There was a specific marketing Slack channel that they had been engaging with and that they had heard about. And there were specific AI enthusiasts and micro-influencers who actually were talking about Anyword's AI writing platform. And they were showing them visualizations on Slack and also through specific AI training sessions that their companies had organized. So this really helped us because, first of all, we were able to engage with those specific micro-influencers and build out relationships, not just from a monetary perspective, but also just letting them have more access to Anyword, telling more them about the new features we had because we knew they were already showcasing our product and we wanted them to understand all the value that we had much earlier on. So that was also really beneficial for us. Another thing I want to talk about how do we get target customer insights, not just from those who came into our platform and were already in our funnel, but was actually from those who we hadn't, who had never heard of us or who weren't exposed to Anyword at that point. And that was through interviews, ICP interviews. And so, of course, there's a lot of ways to glean insights and to do interviews. So there's obviously the ones that you can do with your customers, just creating a list of power users. But for us, it was also very important to reach out, engage with those who, might not have heard of us. So we also created a list of our extended network. It was also very beneficial that we were marketers reaching out to other marketers and trying to chat them up and really understand what were their pain points. Now, we had a pretty good definition of our ICPs, but one of the things that was interesting when we reached out to some of these users were that some of them became our anti-ICPs, people who were essentially good on paper, customer profile, they matched, they were in the right organization, the right industry, the right job. They had the same general pain points that they would have in that type of role, but they were vehemently against using AI, or they had no AI policies within their company. Now, we knew that those were not going to be closed-won opportunities for the short term, but we also knew that in the long run, inevitably, most companies are going to embrace and adopt some form of AI within their companies. So we wanted to get to the bottom of this and understand a lot more about these users and about why they weren't engaging with AI and what were their biggest objections. And so some of the ones that you would kind of expect because they came out in the news were like hallucinations or security, and a lot of those were easy to resolve within our platform themselves. But one of the big ones that popped up repeatedly was actually about brand. They just didn't believe that they could create content or copy using AI that wouldn't be generic. They didn't think that they could actually train AI on their brand. And this was kind of an aha moment for us because Anyword in itself, one of its main differentiators was as a performance platform. It helps you create content that, using predictive analytics, it helps you create more effective copy. It's more likely to convert. But in order to do that, the AI actually needs to be trained on your brand and your audiences, your tone of voice, and your brand guidelines. And so that was a feature that we had not been highlighting because we wanted to really differentiate ourselves and focus more on the performance side. So when we heard that this was a major, objection, we actually changed a lot of our content and demand gen strategy to focus on creating marketing collateral that supported and resolved that objection. So one of our more successful ads afterwards ended up raising this objection and addressing it directly, saying, AI doesn't know my brand, and it was simply just saying, now it does, Anyword. So that was one way. So we were actually gaining people's interest because that was in the back of their mind. There was a large number of people who had that belief. And then when we were calling it out, they were interested in learning more. We also started creating a lot more product marketing collateral to support those individual features that we had not highlighted before. One explaining exactly how you can use AI to create personas, use AI to create your tone of voice or to understand your tone of voice. And then how once you do that, you can train it on your tone of voice and then actually create content in that voice. So for us, this was essentially invaluable. It really changed not just our top of funnel content, but it ended up, we started talking about brand as well in the bottom of the funnel. And that actually helped to close more deals because we had originally had a lot of demand gen ICPs coming in who loved our platform because it was very performance focused, but they couldn't get buy-in from their content team. And because we started focusing on the objections that would have naturally been raised from content, from product marketing, about brand, and about their ICPs, and we were able to address that, they were actually able to sell Anyword then and expand it from one team to that entire team and organization. So that was really beneficial for us. I know that was like a lot very quickly, but we do still have one more minute. I do want to talk about something that was actually pretty unique to Anyword, which was the copy intelligence platform. So built into Anyword, we have a copy intelligence platform. which essentially takes all of your copy analytics. So you connect your channels, you connect your social, you can connect your ads, you connect your email onto the platform. And what it does is it analyzes all of that copy. And so it's analyzing all of our copy. And it was helping us understand what actually was our best performing messaging and what were the specific keywords and phrases that we had. And that really helped us ourselves. It was essentially like eating our own dog food to understand what are the phrases that are most relevant to our ICPs. And then once we had that and we aggregated that data, we're able to then use it to create more effective copy in our own generations in the future. So, yeah.
That's the conclusion. Thank you.
That was trying to keep it at 3 main points. Yeah.
All righty, wonderful. About the copy intelligence, I had a follow-up question. So, how does the AI know? Like, are you feeding it training data? Or?
No, you're actually feeding it directly from your account. So you connect, for example, your Facebook, your LinkedIn, your organic ad platforms, your HubSpot accounts. And so it's actually getting that data. It's understanding, like, if it were HubSpot, what was your CTR, what was your open rate, and it will aggregate that and then understand which kind of phrases and words actually drove action in your ICPs.
So like predictive analytics.
Exactly. Anyword is very predictive analytics focused.
Got it. Yeah. The first point, the how did you hear about us? How did you guys gather that intel?
So we got that through our product onboarding questionnaire. That was the first. It was like in one of the steps when users first in getting to that product. And so we actually had a selection of 10 different choices. And then people were able to do that. And I do want to mention something about this because I've done this a lot in organizations, but there is also unintentional bias that can happen with that. So some of the things that we did to avoid that unintentional bias was actually, don't include a default option, number one, and play around with the placement of other. So one of the things we would test out doing was actually putting other at the top. So that way, even if a large percentage would choose other, that would mean that the rest of the data that we got was typically more accurate.
Mm-hmm. At Wynter, we're gathering this information. One thing we did, we made the question mandatory during onboarding, so every user needs to fill it out. But we kept it 100% open-ended. There's no multiple choice to eliminate bias. You have to type in what it is. And we also learned a very surprising thing. Basically, it's our LinkedIn organic content. And a lot of it is my personal content.
Mm-hmm.
How much of our marketing effort and budget goes to that? 0. So it's something that we are not investing into at all is driving most of the results. It's a Pareto, the 80-20 principle in action. It was eureka moment.
Exactly.
Also, I had the question about the ICP interviews you guys conducted. Mm-hmm. So if they're not in your funnel yet, how did you find these people?
So actually, if they're from the extended network, we actually start reaching out to marketers. So that's one of the benefits of, I think this is the first time in 6 years I was actually working with organizations who were had an audience that was marketers. So marketers reaching out to marketers, we would reach out to our first, second connections on LinkedIn, for example. We would reach out to specific groups that we were in, either in WhatsApp or also in Slack communities, also just saying for friendly chats. And a lot of times, I'm also a recipient of these as well, and I'm always happy to kind of share insights. So that was very helpful. But it was funny that in our effort to learn more about those who we believe to be in our ICP, a small percentage of those were those who were, like I said, kind of like these ICP on paper, but they actually didn't want to use AI and had anti-AI policies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, awesome. Suzanne, thank you so much for sharing your insights with us.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
Everybody, give Suzanne a follow on LinkedIn, and we'll see you there.